In these 2 episodes, we saw it all. Kisses, flirting, unraveling old mysteries and starting new ones, war, theft, you name it. Welcome back, guys. In today's video, we're going to go through episodes 5 and 6 of The King, Eternal Monarch, K-drama. Hope you enjoy. Ah, yes, young Tae-eul is finally in the Kingdom of Korea. She went through the portal. We learned that there is some kind of no one's land between the universes where she will plant some flower seeds later on, and we also learned how cheeky and flirty the king can be, not that we didn't know that, and how tame and in shock the officer can be. Now there, we're talking a serious 180. The whole royal palace is on guard now that the king brought a woman in. Of course, the head court lady took up all measurements in order to hide that fact and avoid scandal, and she wasn't really fond of our officer. She greeted her by taking her belongings, and Captain Joe took her fingerprints as well. Good thing she had experience with anonymous people barging into her universe, so she went through with it. Of course, she didn't have it that bad during her stay at the palace. The king was constantly around her, cooking for her, sneaking into her room, and placing a kiss or two alongside some playing it cool, but obviously in love lines. The officer, dressed as a royal guard, got a chance to follow him while he completed his typical king duties. And one of my favorite scenes, dare I say, in this whole drama was definitely the "was I cool" one. She then went on a little detour by herself and traveled to Seoul in hopes of finding her police squad members in this world. Though the main reason she was there was the beacon of hope that her sickly mother, who died when she was young, was alive and well in this world, which sadly wasn't the case. She borrowed money for her trip from Captain Joe but didn't have enough to pay for the back to Busan ticket. Luckily, she happens to know a handsome king who dropped by a helicopter to pick her up. Do you know who also knows that king? The Prime Minister Koo, who came as soon as she was noticed of the king's arrival, and she had plenty to see. This young, beautiful woman who makes the king smile and come a long way to pick her up himself. Saying she was jealous would be an understatement. Good thing she didn't really have time to stay jealous. Japan's battleships decided to casually walk into Korean waters, so she took matters into her own hands, and she wasn't really intending to ask them nicely not to do it for the 3rd time. I loved her reasoning here. The king, who was on the same page, went to the battlefield himself and acquired a glorious victory by just a few warning shots. While he was shooting missiles at the Japanese, the officer was back in her world and back on her police duty. Talking about the police, her partner Detective Shinjae has some really deep and touching history with her, and I can't help but feel bad for him and his unreciprocated feelings. He is so sweet in that, trying not to show it, but it's obvious he likes her kind of way. Now remember those voice recordings. They are actually much more than just some random news. I mean, they are news, but from the Kingdom of Korea. How and why are they here on the phone in her world? This really messed with the officer's head. You sure also remember the autopsy report and the king suspecting his uncle. Well, turns out he really was lying, but I do not think he's a traitor or that he has any ties with Lee Gon. The only secret he was hiding was that the official report was rigged. Lee Gon wasn't killed by the royal guards, his body was found with a broken neck, and that body is the strange part. The prince was strong and healthy, but the body was weak and with disabilities. Does it ring a bell? For us it probably does, but for the king this only means that the person who killed his father is alive and plotting to take the other half of Manpashijok from him. That isn't the only thing he'd be plotting though. Right now he is busy with manipulating people from one universe who are living hard lives into killing their luckier counterparts from the other universe. Just splendid. The one who's also been diving into the whole parallel universe madness is Captain Joe. I mean, of course the head of King's Royal Guard would do anything to research the woman the king himself brought to the palace, especially if it was the woman whose picture that king had for the past 25 years, but he found nothing, no records about her in the kingdom, though he did find her counterpart in this universe, this woman named Luna who's been stealing from some mafia guys. Could she be involved in how the officer's ID card got to the king? We'll have to wait to find out. By the way, this discovery might have broken our handsome captain. Speaking of stealing and the ID card, the officer's ID card that Lady Noh confiscated upon her arrival was stolen and the thief is yet to be found. Also, I feel like I kinda flew over this, but the king kissed the officer at the start of episode 5 and told her they were dating, and she wasn't exactly complaining. Quite the contrary, since their parting, that "we kissed" thought crossed her mind quite a few times. Just how much her opinion of and feelings towards the king have changed in these 2 episodes we see at the end of episode 6. The king came back to the Republic of Korea, they finally meet again after a long time, and the first thing the officer does? She runs right into his arms with tears in her eyes. I understand, girl, and I ship it. That's it, guys. Hope you enjoyed this week's serving of the Eternal Monarch goodness. Before you go, don't forget to give this video a like and subscribe down below for more K and C related content. Thank you for watching and see you next week with a review of episode 7 and 8. Bye!